Alright, now seeing that there's not much of a story in Deadliest Warrior Legends, I decided I'm going to talk about the controls instead. The controls in this game are, just like its predecessor, really good. I thought they were actually perfectly fine. I did have a couple of problems here and there. Sometimes they weren't really responsive. Like sometimes I'd press the A button and he wouldn't do anything, or sometimes I'd press the X button and he would attack on the other side where the enemy is not, and that sometimes got me a little frustrated, but it really was like 3 or 4 times when that happened, and I played the game for a good 4 hours, so really not much of a big deal there, but there is some problems here and there. It's your standard control set, by the way. It's A, X, and Y that does your attacks, your light, medium, and heavy. You can block with the LT, you can strafe with the right stick. It's your standard fighting set of controls, so they're good. I like the controls in this game, just like the first one. So let's go on to the sound. Alright, now the sound in this game, I want to get through this real quick because the sound in this game is almost non-existent sometimes. The soundtrack, there is only one song in this game and it's only played in the menu. Okay, the sound design is your generic sound design. You just hear sword swipes, people dying, whatever. It sounds exactly what you'd think it sounds. Now, let's talk about the voice acting. The voice acting, there's 2 lines for each character. There's 9 characters. There's really like 2, maybe 3 lines. And the voice actors that play these characters are so laughably bad and stereotypical that it's hilarious. I'm just going to say right here that the sound is not very good, but the voice acting is really funny, even though there's barely any lines, because it's so bad. It really is. So anyway, there's the sound. Let's go on to the graphics. Alright, now the graphics in this game, I will say this, it's definitely not the best looking arcade game that you can get on Xbox Live Marketplace, but it definitely is not a bad looking game. Let me talk about what's good. I think some of the character models for some of the characters do look good. Definitely when most of them get slashed to pieces, like decapitated, cut from the torso. It's just, some of the little blood effects look really, really cool. Some of the environments look okay. A lot of them do not look that great either. Some of the animations are very awkward to look at, but they're kind of funny sometimes when you kill someone and you can actually just like move their body around like a rag doll. That's a lot of fun. And yeah, I thought the graphics for a $10 arcade game are definitely not bad. They haven't improved much since the last game of the series, but isn't bad at all. It's really not that bad. It's okay. The graphics are okay. So let's go on to the gameplay. Alright, now the gameplay in Deadliest Warrior Legends is a 3D arena fighter game. And if you don't know what that is, that means it's not your standard 2D fighter, which means you go back and forth and just fight. This one, you actually move around the whole environment, which I love in fighters. I really do. Those are my favorite type of fighters. And I will say this, I really enjoyed the game. I'm going to say it right there. I enjoyed the first one. The first one was a guilty pleasure of mine. Same thing with this one. But let me explain some of the fighting in the game. The fighting itself is not all that complex. It really isn't. It's just hack and slash, and you have a ranged weapon also, and you try to take out your opponent. You can cut their arms off, legs off too, embarrass them, teabag them. You can do whatever. You can't do that. But you can cut their heads off, legs off, whatever. Now, surprisingly, for a $10 game, you get a lot of modes you could play in this game. You can play the regular arcade mode, which is, of course, you pick a character and go through the whole arcade, fight every character in the game, and you get like extra weapons for that character you're playing as. Battle mode, you can just play with a friend that's right next to you, just split screen or whatever. Not split screen, but you know what I mean. Challenge mode, which is pretty much the challenges you play in the arcade mode, you could play in a separate mode if you really like them, like just slash challenges. You could like do a slash challenge where you have to kill as many people as you can by decapitating them and cutting their arms off and stuff. Of course, you have multiplayer, which has ranked and player matches. Those are always fun. Just you against one other guy in the world. Very fun, just like in the first one. Now, the new mode that they added here is a mode called Zombie Mode, which is really, really cool. It pits you against another enemy, except both of you are zombies, so the only way to kill each other is just to decapitate each other and rip each other's arms off and stuff. Well, not rip off, but like you could be a leg and that's it. You could still walk around in the game. It's hilarious. It really is. And it's awesome. I love that mode, and I could see myself playing it a lot. I really can. Now, the last mode you get in this game is called Generals Mode, which is pretty interesting because it's pretty much Risk. If you ever played Risk before, it's pretty much you gather a whole bunch of troops, you try to take over a whole bunch of landmarks around the environment, and you try to win. It's pretty much a board game, and that's what it is in this game. It's a board game, except you get to play as a character you pick, and sometimes you'll have to fight for your thing that you want, like a castle or something. And you know what? It is fun. The thing is, I have Risk Factions. I rather play it there because it's much better. Not saying this is bad. I'm just saying I'd rather play it with Risk Factions. Overall, I thought Deadliest Warrior Legends was packed with content for $10. I thought it was just a hell of a good time to play, just like the original. I know many people won't like it, just like a lot of people didn't like the original. But if you're like me and like fighters that are kind of like this with gruesome content, then you might like it because it's a lot of fun. To me, at least. It's not great, but it's fun. There you go. There's my review. Thank you and goodbye.
We Spaniards know a sickness of the heart that only gold can cure.